told you, all these presentations are amazing. I hope you can learn many things, guys. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, hello. Today I'm going to talk a few minutes about the cultural dimensions regarding my career, which is tourism. And for me, it's very important to emphasize how important cultures and diversity are in tourism and how the topics we have analyzed in the last classes are related to this sector. So during this presentation, here, I will talk about the following topics. First, we will talk about the cultural dimensions that we saw on the other classes, and also because it's necessary to have some context. And also, then we will talk about how important are cultures in tourism and how these dimensions are related to my career. And also, I will talk about some real cases about tourism and these dimensions. So first of all, as we saw in class, these cultural dimensions published in the 70s, late 70s, by the psychologist Gerd Hofstede. Um, these psychologists tested people from more than 50 countries and found dimensions to differentiate one culture to another. And he initially identified four dimensions, and later he identified two more. And as we saw, this is the six cultural dimensions. So I need to answer a question first, that is how important are cultures in tourism? And well, tourism is a sector that looks after the communication and the development of people in a specific place or a specific space or destination. And culture is, in fact, one of the bases of tourism, as we all know, because it's important. And we as tourists are usually interested in knowing new ways of living in other countries and even in other states of our country, like Mexico. We are interested, I don't know, maybe in Jalisco and how they live and what they like and a lot of things. And this is also why there is cultural tourism. We will focus entirely in our differences and similarities as a society. And well, which cultural dimensions influence tourism the most? I think that all dimensions are important factors that influence in tourism sector. Because as I said, the society is based on these dimensions, but there are two that, in my opinion, influence tourism the most. And well, the first one is long versus short term orientation, and the other is indulgence versus restraint. So in the first one, in this dimension, to put in context, we can see that long-term oriented societies focus on the future, and also it's people that are persistent, have better savings, and adapt more to some problems. And in the other hand, the short-term oriented societies focus on results in the near future, and also they don't know how to save money, maybe, or they don't know how to adapt to some issues. And about tourism, we can analyze how Mexico is a short-term oriented society, and as a consequence, we have a more traditional tourism that focuses on activities that don't require time or a lot of time, and also satisfy needs easily, like travel to the beach and all-inclusive hotels and that things. Yes, and a great example is that the massive tourism that offer experiences in short time without having to do too much things. And this type of tourism is something that characterize our country actually, because we have a lot of places like Cancun, I don't know, Acapulco, and a lot of different beaches that is great, but sometimes it's not so great because it's a kind of tourism that is dangerous in a long term. So yeah. On the contrary, other countries focus on the long term and are focused on a more sustainable tourism. And in order to have a sustainable tourism, it's necessary to weigh long-term results. So maybe that is something positive for that countries because have a sustainable tourism is really good actually, and we are lost in that kind of tourism, and that's it. And well, about the other dimension that is indulgence versus restraint, this cultural dimension considers a society's tendency to indulge its desires. High levels of indulge indicate a relatively free society and high levels of good living. And people tend to spend more money on luxuries and enjoy more freedom, maybe in leisure activities. And people tend not to save or focus on their practical needs. And in this way, there is a very strong influence of this dimension in tourism too, and how people decide to consume tourist experiences in different destinations. And in addition, it also influences how Mexican society is like indulgent and proves to be happier or freer. And this marks us as a receptive community of tourists and how foreign travelers see Mexicans as happy and inclusive and tourist friendly people because we are indulgent actually. And in contrast to other societies with more restrictions, they tend to be colder and with fewer freedom. So tourists may feel not feel welcome in these spaces. Tourists may also resent these attitudes and may feel less free in the tourist destination and have like a different experience than they will have in an indulgent destination. Like, for example, in Europe, I don't know, in Germany, maybe I heard that the people is colder, so they don't feel like comfortable there. And well, yeah, in conclusion, cultures in tourism are necessary, obviously, and are part of our sharing with others in different places. And when we travel, cultural differences are a topic of conversation among tourists and a way to share like a great time, I don't know, and to have a great experience in these places. And about tourism, it's necessary to respect also cultural differences and not judge the residents for their points of view or their beliefs, since because in these places we are only visitors, so we need to respect that. And maybe sometimes it's hard or it's I don't know, it's difficult for us to adapt to these places, but it's necessary to respect the people. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Help me now with the hands, please, because Diana, first of all, you look beautiful. I can tell you dressed up and you use special makeup for us and hairdo and everything. You look beautiful. Thank you so much. And we can notice that. So congratulations. Thank you. I know sometimes our audience deserves respect and you're showing that. Thank you so much. I can already tell you're a wonderful graduate of tourism. Very good. Okay, before I go, because I'm going to add again more things. And again, I'm so, so, so happy and so proud of you because you're relating. Yes, Dante, I'm going to give you the microphone in a minute. You're relating everything we talked about to real life. And it is your real life, not mine, not it's yours. So I am so, so happy, as you said. And I want to emphasize what Diana Elizabeth said. All the dimensions, all of them are very important in tourism, all of them, because you have different cultures merging, living together, at least for a week, for a few days, I know. So it's inevitable. However, she chose, of course, to talk about this one. So I'll go with Dante first, and then I'll go to Ludmila. Go ahead, Dante.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Diana. I like your presentation. And I would like to add a comment about these differences between countries, for example, when we are talking about tourism. But let's not go that far. Simple. We can look for some examples here in Michoacan, for example. I can remember when was Day of Death, I went to a town called Tupátaro and Guanajo, and it was really interesting because I learned something new about the cultures and how they celebrate this day. For example, I could know about they make like these ofrendas, but they're in their houses, and you can go in the house of these people, and they're going to offer you atole and tamales, and
Even
you
if you're a
have to.
stranger?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
They are going to offer you this, and you can give them fruit for the ofrenda, and you can also give like a prayer. So you can pray for the family, and this is really interesting. And another thing I want to add is, for example, how important it is to know the culture, because you can see it right now in the World Cup that you if you drink alcohol in the street or in forbidden places, you're going to go to jail. So you have to know all of this information, and it's really important to know like the most as you can from each culture before you travel to a country or to a town, for example, in this case.
beautiful, Dante. And thank you very much. I'm not going to get too much into the World Cup because Paula actually, and I believe Diana, are going to present. Their presentation is going to be totally and completely about the World Cup Qatar right now. So I know that next week is going to be really, really interesting. And I don't want to give too much ahead of that. However, in a minute after Ludmila and after Diana Montiel, I'm going to add something about the indulgent cultures and how easy or difficult it is to adapt to that part, and how important it is for you, Diana Elizabeth. I hope all your classmates in another class, they are aware of all these cultural dimensions, because honestly, it's a must. It's a must for all of you. And I know you do study many other things, but knowing about public opinion and psychology and how people react to different situations for you in tourism, I think is key. So I was very, very happy to see that. Yes, Ludmila, and then I'll go to Diana Montiel. Go ahead, Ludmila.
Okay, for you, what do you think is the most special thing for you when you get to know a new country or a new town, city?
Very good question. Yeah, what do you pay more attention to? For you, what becomes key, Diana Elizabeth? Again, I'm going to ask the question again. For you, what is that your question, Ludmila? Can you ask your question again, please?
Yes, for you, what you think is the most special thing for you again when you get to know a new city, country, town, whatever?
Good question.
Well, I really love the cultural tourism actually, because I love to see the faces of the people that live in that place, like when they are talking about their culture and about the food that they ate or something. It's so exciting. So how they are excited about tell you what are they doing. So I think that that's my favorite part, and also to respect that, because I think that as tourists we should be educated too, because it's not easy to be a good tourist. You need to know a lot of things. It's not just go to a place and visit that place and that's it.
I am so
Yes.
glad you said that. I think you're the first tourism expert who says that. We really, and I don't know if this is a business opportunity, and I don't know why not more people do it. Do pre-trip training. Like you buy this package of trip with me, and I will give you for free a 1 hour webinar on how to better adapt to your trip. I don't know why nobody's thinking of this. It's a wonderful business opportunity. You could have imagined how many hours of webinars recorded. You sell them for $5 and they're already there, and you're just making passive money. Come on, guys. All right, Diana Montiel, go ahead.
My question is about the long sustainability tourism because you gave two examples of the short one, and it was Cancun and Acapulco. But can you give us an example for the long sustainability? Even if it's not in Mexico, but can you
Yeah, I
name
think Mexico
a
doesn't
city?
have a lot abroad. You can find many abroad, but I don't know. Diana, go ahead, or you. I'll help you with more examples. Go ahead.
Yes, well, I was talking about maybe ecotourism, like some places like, for example, the la biosfera de las mariposas, butterfly biosfera, for example, like doing activities outside, but like being conscious about the danger that you could make in that place if you don't take care of it. For example, in the beaches with the short term, some people just, for example, in Semana Santa, they just go and they leave their trash or something in the beaches and they don't realize how that affects to the destination. And that's why they like to have like satisfied in short time, like the short-term oriented society. And because it's all so simple with the all-inclusive hotel. But an example of long term is that like ecotourism or maybe yeah, like sustainable places and take care of the environment. And yes, like other countries, for example, Canada have that too, I think.
Everything here is long term. Let me add a little bit to the example you are giving. As you just said, the mariposa monarca. We as tourists have to be respectful and understand. If you go up there, even if you spend hours on the road, money, gas, or whatever, and when you get there, there's VEGA, I think that's how they call it, that you cannot walk through the trails because something happened. I don't know, the weather is affecting the waterflies or whatever. And I'm sorry, you will not be able to go all the way up there. You can only be here. And tourists, instead of understanding, and saying, of course, I want this to be, protected. They get angry, they get mad, I'm going to sue you, ¿cómo es posible? They become rude. So I think this is so important. We in Mexico, we want things right now to happen. And I'm going to give an example that you're going to laugh off. And please understand, I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm just stating the facts. Why are there little towns and little families that can hardly make money, enough money to make a living, but when they're going to have el bautizo or la quinceañera, they even ask for money, and they hipotecan la casa and they sell the car and they do everything just to have that party. Why? Because we are that short-term culture that we want just immediate satisfaction. That's exactly the point. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just the way we are. Whereas in other cultures, they will never do that because they're thinking what they're going to do in 10 years, in 20 years, or even with me acabo la quincena y ya, whatever, a ver qué pasa la otra quincena. Again, that is part of our culture. I'm not saying it's bad, better, worse, or wrong. It's just part of most of people of our culture. So when we talk about tourism, thinking about being respectful tourists, it's really hard for us Mexicans. I don't know if you have heard, for example, about Mexicans sometimes being the bad tourist, as you said, abroad, or in France or in Germany, haciendo illegal things sometimes, going to jail because they did some illegal things, because they do not, we only see here and we do not see beyond what could happen. So I'm not saying again it's bad or wrong, because as you said it, Diana Elizabeth, for example, remember when I told you that if you go to Denmark or Finland, if you are with your friend's house and they're going to have dinner, they will tell you, okay, aquí espéranos, vamos a comer, ahorita venimos, y te quedas en la sala viendo la tele lo que ellos comen. Where that will be so rude to us. Can you imagine? Like, wait a minute, you're not going to invite me over for dinner, but it's culture. So I imagine also tourists have to understand that there are places in Europe at 3 o'clock, everything is closed. Really? everything is closed. I don't know if you have friends who have been to Spain as exchange students, and if they didn't do supermarket, if they didn't go to the supermarket before 3 o'clock, everything, no hay Oxxos, nothing. There's nothing to eat. You have to wait until the next day. Why? Because this is how cultures are in that place. That's why Oxxos are so important for us, because se me antojó unas galletas, 1 o'clock in the morning, let's go do it. Whereas here people plan. They buy all their shopping 2 weeks in advance. So they buy the cookies, they buy everything, and they have everything like here. You know, se lo acaban. Everything is there because they know they're not going to have an OXXO around the corner. So you see how cultures not only shape societies, but they shape cities, they shape our places. And in your case, for tourism, everything has to be shaped around that. And if you have mostly national tourists, it's going to be different than if you have foreign tourists, and also tourists from where? From Europe, from Asia, from South America. Everything changes. I know, amazing. Very, very good topic. And we could spend hours and hours talking about this, but the class is over, guys. Yes, go ahead, Paula. Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I remember I have my aunt lives in the south part of the country in a province called Neuquén, near the Cordillera de los Andes. And when I visited her this summer, the shops didn't open until 6 on the afternoon. So because it's like a priority for them to take naps. So everybody knows that. And I think in the north part of the country, it's the same. Not until 6 p.m. Shops.
So wait, in Spanish, just say in Spanish. Toman siesta. De 4 a 6 está cerrado para la siesta.
Claro, por ejemplo, abren, por ejemplo, a las 10 de la mañana hasta las 12 del mediodía y a las 6 de la tarde recién abren. Un montón.
Es una siesta de 6 horas. Wow, that is amazing. And is it a touristic place or just a regular normal place?
No, it's just it's like a village. There are more touristical places near this village, but this is a rural, more like a rural
area. But imagine if you as a tourist, you don't know that. Imagine you have no idea what's happening. Anyway, okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. I don't have to tell you. A los tres, you have 100 points. Very well done. Thank you very much. I'll see you on Wednesday. Emma and Lola, be ready for your presentation on Wednesday, okay? Please.